Good afternoon and welcome to not so bad actually, Mike. Blackburn, a little bit cloudy. See a bit of blue sky. Can't see any 4,000 holes though. Is that gone over your head?
Yeah.
Sergeant Pepper's, the Beatles.
Got you.
4,000 holes in Blackburn.
So within
Lancashire.
10 seconds we've got the Beatles in. We're not even in Liverpool.
Well, yeah, we're not even in Liverpool. However.
So, yeah, Ewood Park, home of Blackburn Rovers Football Club. Founder member of the Football League. 3 top flight titles, including obviously the famous 94-95 victory or success. 6 FA Cups. Yeah. We were talking.
Last cup being a League Cup,
Last
I
cup
believe.
in the League Cup 2002 against Tottenham Hotspurs, as
Tottenham,
Ozzy would call it.
Yeah.
Who ironically was at Blackburn as well.
Was he really? I didn't know
he was,
that.
yeah.
So he went to Blackburn.
He was.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Ricky Vila, did he just
I don't
keep
know
the?
if Ricky Villa
Did
played
Ricky
there.
Vila just keep the pie shop on Songmore
Yeah,
Road?
on Songmore Road in Bolton. Yeah.
Our
Our
Villas.
Villa's pie shop.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're here at Blackburn Rovers, which is basically the original
It is
football
the very first.
entrepreneur, wasn't it, with Jack
Yeah.
Walker? Doing okay in the Championship this season. I know they lost yesterday to Plymouth, but
Not without controversy.
they lost 2-1. No, they're not second anymore. No, Rob's telling us second. No, I think they're about 8th, but they're only 4 points off the top. Wayne Rooney got sent off. So it was the day for managerial settings off in
Well,
in,
yeah,
the
League
EFL.
One we won't speak of, but yeah.
So they obviously, Jack Walker took full control of the club in 1991 January, and next season he appointed Kenny Dalglish.
Kenny Dalglish, and then obviously bringing in Alan Shearer, which
in
was
the
one
summer
hell of a coup.
In the summer of '92 when they won promotion by the playoffs.
Well, it was a coup because I remember there was another team not so far away that had ambitions of growing, and he shirked them, and there was another team with ambitions but not quite to fruition who he also shrugged. He actually knocked back Manchester United and Liverpool.
Wow, I knew about Manchester United, I didn't know about Liverpool.
Well, Liverpool had their interest. He didn't, it was looking like he was going to go to. I remember it vividly. And I remember that absolutely hefty that price tag, that really
£3.6 million British transfer
Who
record.
paid money for a player like that?
Well, we were looking into it. He only played half the season in his first year in the Premier League. Got an injury, but still managed to bag about 16 goals in 5 months.
Many of them penalties?
Probably not. Come on, let's not get petty about it.
I know.
Alan Shearer, 130 goals in 171 appearances, I think it is, for Blackburn Rovers,
Yeah,
before making
he
the
was
move to
ruthless.
Newcastle.
He was ruthless.
Yeah, phenomenal striker, one of the best. And I suppose that's why he's still the all-time top scorer in the Premier League.
Well, funnily enough, at that time, because he was followed up by obviously Chris Sutton, the famous SAS, wasn't he? Purchased from Norwich City.
Yeah.
Got a really. This is a perfectly true story. This, Mike.
I'd expect nothing less, to be fair.
Family friends. Steve Foster was the physio here at the time, as Chris Sutton, you may remember, really injured his leg.
Yeah.
And Steve invited my mum and the Prince, my dad, to come and watch. And my dad had actually broke his leg at the time as well. He was a younger Prince then, so he had a fixator on his leg, and he was actually sat next to Chris Sutton watching. I don't know what game it was. I think it might have been a Liverpool match. Anyhow, he was watching it, and he was up in obviously the corporate box, and everyone's kind of like thinking that my dad, who had a slight resemblance to Kenny Dalglish, I'm sure
He did, yeah.
I bet they were wondering, I wonder if that's a rally of Kenny's. That's not what we're meant to be here for. But yeah, the ruthless SAS, and my dad sat next to him, and my mum didn't actually have a clue what she was watching. Just no understanding of football.
That's no slight on Blackburn's footballing ability, obviously.
And it was Arsenal, because I got David Seaman's signature on the programme.
Oh, very nice.
And the Blackburn keeper at the time that would have been, come on,
Tim Flowers.
Yeah.
So yeah, that with the original entrepreneur, we were talking on the way here about how, well, we've talked about it on many videos, how investors come in and they want instant success, and Jack Walker gave Blackburn Rovers that. By the time he'd taken full control, within 4.5 years, they'd won the Premier League. They'd got promoted in his full first season as owner via the playoffs, got into the inaugural Premier League season, 2 seasons just milling about, and then 94-95, bish bash bosh, beat Manchester United to the title, didn't they?
I believe so. Yeah.
But still managed to lose their last game against Liverpool But unfortunately for Manchester United, they didn't manage to get the 3 points at Upton Park that they needed.
That would be because Andy Cole wasn't Andy Cole that day.
He was just Andrew Cole.
He was just spreading him all over the bloody place. Famous black kit, I remember. Very sad. I actually watched that in Dunsker, where there was a lot of Blackburn Rovers fans. Why
surprising
did they do that?
It's only around the corner.
Madness. Yeah.
They've had quite a bit of success, Blackburn Rovers.
I think what's interesting though, as you say, he is probably the first person to make it work. You look at all those people that have tried to invest money in it. I mean, even, you can go really far back. You can even look at Swales at City. You can have a look at Edwards at United, which sort of worked, but that only worked because of the PLC. Yeah. Knighton, who wanted to do it, who ended up... He didn't end up with the United. It was just Carlisle.
Well, he ended up on the pitch of Manchester United with a full kit on, didn't he? Doing a few one or two kick-ups before the ball ran away from him. Yeah. But yeah, he was
But he's the first one to make it work.
100%.
Because I was just saying when we pulled up here, where we are, here, when he bought it, all this was the back-to-back housing. Yeah. So this Standy actually knocked all those houses down and built along here. And
well, they've been at Ewood since 1890. I mean, it's still looking... doesn't look any different to a lot of Football League grounds, does it?
Really.
Still looks in good, decent nick. But as we were looking, obviously they were founded in 1875 and were roving around, weren't they?
Yes,
which is one of the reasons they were called Rovers, similar to Wanderers, Bolton Wanderers, because they had 4 grounds before they settled here, in places like Pleasington and different areas of Blackburn. So they've been here for a long time.
Same kit, I believe, as well.
Yes. Although, what was it you were saying? They had a Maltese...
They used to drop a Maltese cross on it early days because it was... the founders went to a public school. I think it's got something to do with Malvern and Shrewsbury, because Shrewsbury have the same Maltese cross on it as well, and it's the public school that they went to, thus showing how it came back from its Harrow and Etonian sort of roots. And I believe early Blackburn Rovers beat, I might be wrong, but beat Old Etonians.
Yes, they did,
FA
they
Cup.
did, yes, yeah. Well, they were actually relegated from the top flight in 1898, but then re-established by the FA as they extended the league to more teams. So they sort of got relegated, and then they said, "Oh, do you know what? Get yourselves back in, lads. Have another go."
That's a bit like Arsenal's got relegated, but we'll drop Spurs because you've got too much money. And they claim they never got relegated ever since.
Sorry, and there began the hatred.
Well, I think local rivalry probably had more to do
of course,
with that, yeah.
So couple of interesting stats. Apart from people like Alan Shearer, there's this trend all of a sudden now, isn't there? This Barclaysman thing.
I'm reaching for my phone for
Barclaysmen
this.
of like different players in Premier League history that weren't the top names, but Blackburn have certainly had their fair share of Barclaysmen. Morton Gams Pedersen, 2 guy, Roque Santa Cruz. I certainly wouldn't put Robbie Savage in that bracket. No offence, Robbie. Just a bit of beef between him and Bolton when he played for Leicester. But anyway, we'll move on.
I think also the fact that Robbie Savage likes to totally erase the fact that he was a class of 92 anytime he commentates on Manchester United. I can't believe how much he hates them. However, and if you're watching, Robbie, stop it.
The biggest name, certainly of late, which a lot of people won't even know about, was David Raya from the Arsenal goalkeeper.
You told me that on the way up. Yeah.
So he joined in 2012 on a scholarship from a Catalonian team, because there was a season before where someone came over from that team, and there was an agreement that between Blackburn, I can't remember the name of the team, should remember that, but not a big name, who they kind of used him as a bit of a feeder club. So when he was 16, he joined Blackburn on a scholarship, went to play for Southport a couple of years later on loan.
Lucky.
45 appearances for them. So even Southport fans will be like, David Raya played for us, and everyone will probably be saying, nah, he's talking nonsense. But David Raya ended up becoming the Blackburn number 1 a few seasons later, made about just over 100 appearances for Blackburn, and then signed for Brentford. And now, obviously, between the sticks at the Emirates Stadium. But they've had a lot of big-name players and big-name managers.
Big-name managers, that's what I was going to go through. Because obviously you remember it, but you kind of go through them here. So obviously the main obvious one when they won the title was obviously Kenny.
Yeah.
Bit of a coup to bring in Kenny. Then it was his assistant, Ray Harford. We all remember Ray Harford. Yeah?
Yep.
Tony Parks, who'd obviously... He'd been part of this club for...
Yeah, he had, yeah.
He played as well, hadn't he?
I think so, yeah.
England manager Roy Hodgson. On his way to Liverpool.
He joined. Yeah, he'd left. He was Switzerland manager as well, and into Milan, and then joined Blackburn Rovers. Didn't really work out for him. Bought Kevin Davis for quite a lot of money. I think 7 from Chesterfield, 7 million, something like that. That didn't really work out.
Worked out for someone though, didn't it?
Well, yeah, obviously, probably Chesterfield. And us, of course.
Yes, thank you.
Eventually.
Then the other one, I am sure I should know this. I'm going to say it. I might get bombed out for it. Youngest European Cup winner, English, Brian Kidd.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
Because obviously in 1968, you may have heard, he won it with Manchester United.
Possibly.
Following on from that, Graham Souness. I mean, there's some big names coming in here.
I remember Graham Souness' tenure, yeah.
Hughesy.
Yeah.
Who I believe is still at Bradford, isn't he?
He is.
Mark Hughes. Obviously, Mark Hughes player for them as well.
He did.
Yeah. And then we end up with, I'm trying to see where we end up with a certain manager known to you. Oh no, he comes after Paul Ince.
He comes after Paul Ince, yeah. Big
Paul
Sam.
Ince as well.
Paul Ince.
That
Big
was
Sam.
a brave move, really.
Yeah. I mean, he never really worked at managerial level, did he?
No.
I think he had a couple of stints out in different places, but didn't really work out for him.
Well, I think to be fair, I don't think Hughes did. There's a lot of good players which haven't really had this managerial
I think Roy Keane is another.
For me,
big names.
For me, the first one's Brian Robson.
Well, he did well in Middlesbrough, and he kept West Brom up, didn't he? Took Middlesbrough up when Bolton went up via the playoffs in '95, and Middlesbrough won the league when there were only 2 promoted teams because they were reducing the Premier League from 22 to 20. But Brian Robson, yeah.
I'm going to say this is a slight side movement, but these are players that were big characters as players. Sometimes they're too big to manage players, where players are a little bit afraid of them, or the like the old Graham Souness conversation that he had with Dean Saunders when Dean Saunders came to Graham Souness at Liverpool and said, "I feel I deserve a wage rise," and he thought, "You've asked for a wage rise at Liverpool. I'll tell you what you're going to get: transfer list," and that's what he did. Because he asked for a wage rise.
Well, it's only about Sir Alex Ferguson at United, isn't it?
I think that's quite commendable, but I also think Dean had a right to ask for a wage rise.
And Roy Keane was similar, a few almost fallouts, arguments, because he didn't like the way they weren't trying, which I suppose is absolutely accurate. But yeah, you're right in thinking there's plenty of managers who have kind of not made it where you think they probably should make it.
Keane trusted his dog, though.
Of course, why would you not? Big Sam obviously came here. Fell foul to the usual thing of fans wanting attractive football.
Wasn't that the Venky takeover period as well, though?
And then they appointed Steve Keane, who, I mean, that really was a bad era for Blackburn Rovers, went down the season after Bolton got relegated, I think I remember, sort of in 2013, and then just kind of spent a bit of time, Championship, League One.
Yeah.
And then had really just been sort of pottering around the Championship for quite a while now, but yeah, Steve Keane, remember him well.
I mean, really, they're the last fairy tale Premiership title winners, weren't they? Really, they were the blueprint for the Leicester year.
Yeah.
Because I still remember when they won it, and it was on national TV, and how they reported it. A small mill town in Lancashire. I thought, well, there's a good few mill towns.
Of course,
Lancashire. It's what we're famous for.
But the Blackburn Rovers are also. It sticks in my memory of when they got into the Champions League, and wasn't it Graham Lasso and David Batty having a bit of a brawl? Abroad at one of the matches. Gothenburg? Yeah, somewhere abroad, and they really bombed the Champions League. They didn't do well at all, did they? Maybe a step too far, I suppose. Maybe just what they'd done in the Premier League was obviously fantastic, and some of the players they had: Stuart Ripley, Jason Wilcox, Tim Sherwood, Colin Hendry, Tim Flowers, Alan Shearers, Chris Sutton.
Well, I think, as you say, that going into that's the early formation of the Champions League, isn't it? And it started going from the knockout to the league.
Yeah.
That's when you had to have a 2-squad team.
You did,
and that was, as you say, maybe a bridge too far. They got the success, they'd certainly got the money, but there was no blueprint of how to do that successfully, even then at that point.
Well, yeah, and obviously then kind of just trickled out from there, didn't they? They got relegated. When was it they got relegated? It wasn't 98. It might have been this season before. I can't remember, but they ended up getting promoted with Bolton and Fulham from the Championship in 2001. Fulham romped the league. Well, Blackburn and Fulham were pretty close actually, but we Bolton Wanderers went up with the playoffs, and then it was the first 3 promoted teams that season, 2001, 2002, to stay up. First time it ever happened where all 3 teams stayed up, and then Blackburn in their first season in the Premier League, won the League Cup. Back in the Premier League, 2001, 2002.
Yeah, the 2000. Yeah.
So, big history.
It's about 2006 it started tailing off for them, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And as we mentioned there, that Venky's period, that was really...
Still is.
Yeah, it's... I mean, having said that, talking of club owners' lack of investment, doesn't actually look as bad as any other stadiums I've seen where you've had lack of investment.
No. I mean, it's been a while since I've seen like a banner like that to kind of announce where you are, but
yeah,
probably could do with a bit of a spruce up.
Maybe a bit of studied lettering.
Yeah.
But the last time that we came here, I'm asking Robert, remember the last time we were here, Robert? It was to see Harry Forster playing, who's playing for Watford, under 23s, wasn't he? Harry being relative, now playing at Crawley. I'd like to get you in there, Harry.
Well, you mentioned Watford. Blackburn's manager now used to play for Watford, John Eustace. He was a centre midfielder for Watford. But they seem to be doing okay now. They seem to be slowly pushing on. Obviously, they've had a few big names leave recently. Sammy Smodic's been one, who's now at Ipswich. Brereton Diaz, yeah, was Ben Brereton. Stuck a Diaz on his name, started banging goals in for fun for Blackburn, and they ended up selling him.
Does that guarantee success?
Apparently so. Yeah, I'm gonna try that.
Michael Diaz is something in that. Maybe start singing again. That's your stage name.
Belting. That's what I'll do.
With Leopard.
He just stood there in the back.
Yeah.
Playing bass.
Yeah.
Anyway, we digress. So the one thing I don't quite understand is the attendances, because there's not really anything around here. I appreciate they've got a big rivalry with Burnley, but it's still another 20 minutes away, isn't it? 25 minutes away from here.
I seem to remember. There's quite a Liverpool contingent around here. I think it's just one of those northern sort of towns that, as the hometown slid away, and it probably is the 70s and 80s when Blackburn weren't where they should have been. Yeah. That'd be the attraction that a lot of young kids would have probably, because United weren't doing anything, Manchester City, so they'd have gone to Liverpool at that point, and it's that sort of thing, isn't it?
Well, like we said, they weren't really anything. There wasn't anything of note from Blackburn Rovers for a good few decades. And another player just popped into my head, actually. I was just thinking about when I've come to watch Bolton Wanderers here. And we came to Blackburn after we got mauled by Stoke in the FA Cup semi-final 5-0. And the weekend after, we were playing Blackburn away, and the players looked dejected. And we were just thinking, just give us something, give us a win. Something to try and help what happened last weekend. We got beat 1-0. And a certain Phil Jones, who was 17, marked, which never happens. I very rarely saw this happen, marked Kevin Davies out of the game. Never really saw anyone mark Kevin Davies out of the game, and we were all just saying, who the hell is this? Well,
a friend of mine, his boy had, because obviously very local to here, he had trials at Blackburn, and it was with Phil Jones, about a similar age when Phil Jones was trialling at the same time. And he actually he more or less said to his dad, I may as well hang on my boots, a footballer like that. I now know there's a different standard. Right. Phil Jones
Big Sam even still to this day quotes him in the best 11 he's played, he's managed.
Really? Yeah. That's how atrocious media is in football, unless you're on Centre Sport UK TV, mate. No, but it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's now, it's like, it's open game, think of the players that were good, that maybe had something about them. Listen, to get to be a professional footballer in any of the top 4 leagues, you've got something.
Of course.
All the keyboard warriors can claim as shocking as they are, and they should be put down and stuff like that. That comes back to what we're saying in the game, mate. Have a bit of respect, because they've worked bloody hard to get there, and there's even some lads in the lower leagues which can come into the top 4 and make it. Jamie Vardy being one of them.
Yeah, very good example.
So this non-playing assumption that a Premier League player in the gulf down to League 2 is absolutely massive. Maybe they should understand it's not as big as they think it is. Otherwise, you won't get FA Cup shots.
Well, very good point. Yeah, I understand that. Obviously, supporting a League One club at the moment, I know there are players at Bolton Wanderers who could quite easily make it in the top end of the Championship.
Oh, no absolutely.
Yeah. Potentially Premier League, because I remember listening to Adam Lafondra talk about, because he's got some ridiculous stat, hasn't he, that he's second behind Erling Haaland in terms of goals to game ratio in the Premier League still, because he used to just bang them in for heading. But that was
Yeah.
just self-belief of the fact that if the ball was in front of me, doesn't matter what league you're in, I'm going to score a goal. And it all depends on who's playing with you. You know, we talk about Manchester City and, oh, well, I could score if I had De Bruyne feeding me, blah, blah, blah. But as long as you've got the right club and the right players and the way you play, there's a lot of players at lower leagues who could fit into certain systems and situations.
I still blame FIFA a lot for that sort of thought.
Yeah,
Even FIFA massively downgrades a player in the lower leagues, as you well know, as Sefton Slink Catchpole's taking Salford City in career mode at League Two.
It is quite ridiculous.
Some of those players are good.
Looking at the Bolton Wanderers ratings on FIFA this season, you're like, I'm not even sure they've watched this guy. You know, it's like pace 54 or something. You're like, that's just offensive. It's just
Well, it is really. I think my mum's got a pace of 54.
Well,
you're not going to find a professional.
I'm not going to
player.
find her up front for Bolton Wanderers, are we?
Probably not. No.
Anyway, but yeah, hopefully at some point soon, Bolton Wanderers will be back here. But the way Blackburn are going, you never know. Might be back in the Premier League at the end of this season.
It's a long way to go at this point.
There is a long way to go.
It's about the stamina,
But they
isn't
seem
it?
to be doing all right. They seem to have settled since. I think the big one was Sammy Smodic's leaving, but they seem to have settled after that.
I think it's the hardest league to get out of. I think to come top of the Championship is, and I know people go, how are you sort of like validating that? I think to win the Championship is probably harder than doing the Premier League because there's so much around you, that consistency that you need. Obviously, when you step up to the Premier League, it's a different thing. But I think it's in terms of the tenacity, in terms of the sort of like the role of it, the continuity of it. To go a full season in the Championship, far more games, so much around you, loads of teams that have come down with parachute money.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say, that money. You're coming, and even now slinking into League One, you've now got teams who are, so Birmingham are just throwing money around for fun.
Yeah.
So even the lower leagues are now even League One, like I say, is now becoming more difficult because there are teams who've come down from the Championship with still plenty of money to spend, and there's almost no ruling with like FFP in the Premier League.
There isn't that much of a ruling in the Premier League.
Doesn't sound so. Doesn't sound so. We're still not heard anything further from the Manchester City charges as of yet.
Yeah. I think they're still throwing darts at the dartboard to see what the outcome will be. What do you reckon we'll do here? Well,
yeah. Well, anyway, so it's been good to be here.
Do you know what, mate? It's actually, I'm really quite glad because I was a bit worried because obviously my hair's gone back to its winter plumage now. And I thought I might be a little bit chilly. Put the big coat on. I've survived it.
You have survived it. You've survived it because it's the rain.
I've just got a cold now. So if I've been snuffling all the way through it,
should have just stood like this way, shouldn't we? Just a bit further away from each other.
That's right. You got the like an ox, man.
Well,
right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot. We'll see you again from who knows
see you
where.
very soon. One more time.
I don't know how I feel, but I feel right happy.